vibes pay off. Are we recording?
We've been recording for 17 hours, man. You know what we do here.
Welcome to Werewolf Radar, the world's premier paranormal preparedness podcast. My name is Jordan Dahl.
I am Nate Balding.
I am Roger Norquist.
Today's episode of Werewolf Radar is brought to you by Monstroko presents Your Old Dog, Pongo. Your parents said he died, but your parents lied. Pongo is back and better than ever. He doesn't need to eat or sleep or die ever again. All he needs is your love. All of it. Every last ounce. Your Old Dog Pongo by Monstroko. What the fuck?
My new dog Bongo might have issues with this. So do you think they can get along?
Pongo will replace Bongo almost immediately. You will find Bongo's loosed fur in the place where he fell asleep, filled with nothing but sand.
Oh my. Well,
that's one of the great things about your old dog Pongo. He's back. Pongo, I thought you died.
I have a consumer question. Is this like a Pet Cemetery thing? Is he going to be an evil Pongo? Or is he going to be good because Pongo was previously evil and that's why I had to shoot him with the shotgun?
Pongo's back.
More importantly, are we infringing on previous IP?
No. Pongo is back. No question. Look how happy.
Oh, Pongo, I do miss you.
Look at not anymore. Pongo's back. You'll miss everything else. To the benefit of Pongo. Don't go to work anymore. Stop eating. Don't answer the phone. Love Pongo.
Pongo, fetch. And he just takes your soul.
Yep, bones come right out. Hey, let me ask you this. Have we done the Monster of Glamis?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the Monster of Glamis. Are you guys ready for this?
I am.
I don't know.
I am. If you want to take the speaking skull first, I'll open up the chest for you.
I'm grabbing it from the chest, the pedestal upon which it rests. Well, hovers, really. I'm going to grab that thing. For some reason, as I was researching it, I was like, have we talked about this? And I don't think we have. I want to talk to you about the Monster of Glamis. I got this idea from another podcast that did a great kind of summary of this entire legend. There's a podcast called Bone and Sickle that I highly recommend. It is the intersection of history and folklore, he calls it. It's really well produced. It's really well researched.
I was hoping you were going to say occultism and communism.
That's us. That's our intersection.
Kind of us. Check out the Bone and Sickle version of this if you want a much more kind of informational and not drier, but somewhat less swear-filled version of what I'm about to tell you.
Boo, you fucking cowards.
So this is a story of the
we
mystery
call
of
it
Glamis,
academic,
as it is sometimes known. So the Monster of Glamis takes place at Glamis Castle. It's spelled Glamis, but it's pronounced Glamis, best known as the seat of the titular character in the Shakespeare play Macbeth. That's where it happens. That's where Macbeth happens. Glamis Castle has belonged to the Lyons family. It's spelled like Leon. This is from darktales.blog. Since the 14th century, Castle has a rich history. Shakespeare drew inspiration for the events of the Scottish play from the historical murder of King Malcolm II, who was killed while visiting his hunting lodge at Glamis in 1034. He wasn't actually killed like in the play where, someone crept up in the night and killed him in his bed. It was like a battle, and they're like, he lost. That's what happens when you lose the battle. They run right up to you and kill your ass.
Sounds more likely.
By 1372, the castle proper had been constructed and has remained in the possession of the Lyon clan ever since. The current head of the family, Simon Patrick Bowes Lyon, still resides at Glamis as the 19th Earl of Strathmore. How about that? So it's a beautiful castle with a very dark, unpleasant history. Numerous legends and tales of hauntings surround the castle. Some of them are very fucking dark. There's one called the Tongueless Servant, which is exactly what it sounds like. Various monsters and tyrants lived here at various times, mistreating the servants horribly. There's a ghost story about a servant who was set to run like from the king and his friends who hunted him basically through the night, and then set the dogs on him and they tore him apart. And you can still see this guy running for his very life in the night, apparently.
That was also like a thing you did that terrifies me. That's one of those tortures where we're like, no, we just sick dogs on you. They'd kill you.
Terrifying. Truly terrifying. There's also a very famous story including a visit from the devil himself in 1486 to claim the soul of Alexander Lion. Lion wanted to play cards, but guess what? It was the Sabbath. And everybody said, hey, you shouldn't play cards on the Sabbath. And he said, I'll play cards whenever I want. I'll play cards with the devil himself. So guess who showed up? Devil. And he set him and his friends to playing cards for all eternity within the walls of the castle. Legend has it that on certain nights you can still hear him and his friends, who I doubt signed up for that, playing cards in their eternal card game within the walls, cursing their bad luck and celebrating a good hand here or there. So I can only assume that somebody wins.
They knew what day it was. They signed up for it. Everyone here knew it was a Sunday/Friday night, depending on what time in Christianity or Judaism we're here at. They knew.
Are not wrong. However, by far, the most famous tale is that of the Monster of Glamis. The generally accepted version of the story is that the monster was a badly deformed member of the Leon family, hidden away in a secret room in the castle, which was bricked up after his death. You've probably come across this motif elsewhere.
There's a few...
Possibly in the Grave Nugget.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's right. That motherfucker about got chimneyed up. But the idea of the kind of hideously deformed, royalty hidden somewhere in the castle, that all came from this story. This is the original archetype of that story, the Monster of Glamis. Now, there actually was a guy. Most researchers accept that the person that would become known as the, quote, Monster of Glamis was Thomas Lyon Bowes, the oldest child of Thomas Lord Glamis.
This isn't real. Get out of here with this.
This is real. Born in October 1821, he is recorded in the Peerage of Scotland to have died the same day. However, rumors that the child had survived grew rapidly in the surrounding villages after the midwife that had attended the birth stated that the child had been born healthy but deformed. Despite being baptized before his apparent death, Thomas had no gravestone, a fact seized upon as further evidence that the child had survived. However, due to high levels of infant mortality during the period, it was not unusual for an infant to not be given a headstone. So this kind of thing happened, and a lot of people were just like, well, best get on with it kind of situation.
I'm not going to go pay for a fucking headstone for like a 0-year-old. That's insane.
We're going to have 7 more in the next 6 years.
Yeah. We're losing 6 kids a week here. We don't have this kind of money. Except they did.
This family did. Fair enough.
Yeah. Somewhat confusingly, the infant's younger sibling born a year later was also named Thomas. Anyway,
like the name.
Appearing to catch the imagination.
Do you replace?
Yeah, we broke one. It's awful. Appearing to catch the imagination of Victorian storytellers, numerous other accounts of either the monster or a secret chamber within Glom's castle emerged over the years. One workman claimed to have encountered a misshapen young man while working at the castle, later saying he was offered money by the Earl to immigrate to Australia and never breathe a word of the story. So basically, this dude's working along. He enters, he finds the legendary secret room, perhaps, enters, sees what is known as the Monster of Glamis, or perhaps the ghost of the Monster of Glamis, who knows? And the guy who owns the estate comes along and is like, hey, here's 500 grand, move to Australia, shut your mouth.
It's a little bit fishy at that point. That's a weird reason to get someone out. Surely there was something else in my skeptic brain, but like the only thing you've given me is that he sees this person, then the guys are like, listen, you saw nothing, okay? Why don't you go take a trip to Australia?
Yeah,
I hear
like
they're making millions off of sheep.
You didn't see no monsters here, Bailey. Thick Scottish accent. Another story was that of an estate manager who resigned and refused to ever set foot within the castle again after being told of the secret chamber and its purpose. In the 1908 version of the scholarly journal Notes and Queries from Oxford University Press, one academic described the legend as, quote, so well established and interesting that it is almost impious to attempt to explain it away. The story was and is that in the Castle of Glamis, the celebrated old castle of the Earls of Strathmore is a secret chamber. In this chamber is confined a monster who is the rightful heir to the title and the property, but who is so unpresentable that it is necessary to keep him out of sight or possession. The creature was
have to be so unpresentable at the time.
The creature was actually described in a couple of the stories. Let me see if I can find it here. They say story became more established. It was said that Thomas was born with a serious deformity that made him look like a monster.
He has excellent teeth.
Some of the best, kid.
The village men and the workers around the castle had a clear idea of what Thomas looked like. In the 19th century accounts, people referred to Thomas as, quote, a human toad, but no evidence of his appearance was ever provided. They said that when somebody who saw him, Thomas was described as having an enormous barrel chest, being excessively hairy like a doormat, with a large head running straight into the shoulders and shrunken arms and legs of a doll.
Ooh, okay, weird fella.
This sounds a lot like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
A little bit. You think he's got like some steroid issues? He's got the bubble gut too, and all that fun.
I think it would mention the nips, right?
The nips are like the weirdest thing about Joe
terrifying
Rogan.
Nipples. His body was completely warped and twisted. His monstrous child was kept away from prying eyes in a secret chamber with an estate manager charged with his care. He was allowed out of the chamber to exercise, but the family always strove to keep him hidden. Aw, that's kind of nice, huh? At least he got a little.
Yeah, he gets his time in the field.
Little yard time. Still monstrous abuse of a disabled person is what we're talking about here. Where is the secret chamber? Asks historicmysteries.com. The secret of the chamber was known only to the Earl, his wife, and the estate manager. Nobody else was allowed to know the location, and even the existence of the chamber was denied. Several candidates for the location of the chamber exist. The estate papers and architectural plans of Glamis Castle reveal a small space adjacent to the charter room in the base of the main tower. A record also survives of one of the aristocratic guests, Lord Ernest Hamilton, who wrote that he had discovered a secret passage in the castle. The entrance was hidden underneath a trapdoor embedded on the floor of a dressing room known as the Blue Room. However, most sources place the secret chamber near the chapel, hidden behind the ancient stonework. The layout of the castle interior with its thick stone walls certainly allows for the presence of hidden areas.
What fun a castle life must be. Let's spend the fortune on a castle.
Yeah. Hey, look, I vote that any monsters therein, however, have full run of the castle and are allowed to hang out and play PlayStation with us, and they don't get walled up.
This is a preservation affair.
Yes.
We're buying the castle to give ghosts and monsters of castle type.
The Werewolf Radar house for extraordinary monsters.
Couch co-play with a ghoul.
Absolutely. This is from, again, Historic Mysteries. This is a section titled "The Truth Will Out." Many other horror stories were linked to the secret chamber of Glom's castle. It is said that in the deepest part of the night, noises can still be heard from somewhere deep in the castle. That's kind of the go-to ghost story of Glom's castle, is when you're staying there in the night, you'll hear, Thomas scratching on the walls or moving around in there, or perhaps even whispering to the people, which is very scary. Architectural renovations to the castle have revealed skeletons in a walled up chamber. And even today, people report feeling an uneasy presence in certain rooms. The earls who came after... Go on.
Wait, so these are not the skeletons that they found. They've decided not to call them this guy's skeleton.
No, not Thomas. The story goes that there was a rival clan who was invited over for like some kind of peace talk. And they were invited into a room, and they kind of red weddinged their asses. Probably
and then their bones are in the wall
and walled them up. There's a lot of walling up going on. The Gloms has a very dark history of, like I said, kind of assholes. Like,
it was a fun torture, but this is all before television. So, like, what are you going to? What are you going to do? I'm sorry if I wall up some enemies for entertainment. I'm so bored.
The last brick in, and you're like, yeah, that should be fun for about a week.
I like the idea that, like,
good lord,
the alternative ending to like Cask of Amontillado is a guy going, "Oh wait, Show of Shows is on. You know what? Don't worry about it.
You know what? You don't have to be walled up. Come on, let's watch this thing." Where was I? God. The earls who came after the 11th Earl also believed in the rumors, and the story of Thomas remained as a dark family secret for a long time. There's a story that the secret of Glom's, whatever it is, be it monster, be it secret passage, be it, dark history of betrayal, is passed down from the current steward of the castle to the next steward of the castle when they come of age. And there's a story of somebody being told about it and revealing to someone else that they wanted to know what it was. And he was basically like, trust me. No, you don't. I wish that I didn't know it. And now I do, and it has to live with me. There's also another story of one of the...
I'm living in Pontypool right now.
I mean, you tell me that, it only makes me want to open the door more. Like, let's crack this baby open. What's haunting you, buddy?
There's also a story of one of the kind of to-be stewards of the castle. His dad was like, listen, we need to talk next week. I'm going to tell you the secret. And he was like, could we not? Can we put that off for a while? And they put off telling him the secret for a couple of years so he could just live a normal life and have fun with his friends. The stories of Thomas haunting the castle to this day are certainly in the realm of the supernatural. He would just have celebrated his 200th birthday, but this should not detract from the sad story of a deformed child hidden away by his parents, whose only fault was in his appearance. Who then was the true monster?
Sad when someone can't reach their 200th birthday.
Yeah.
It is sad. Listen, we're the host of Werewolf Radar. We unfortunately are immortal as long as the radar is feeding off of us. So it is
true.
I'm nearing my 200th birthday right now.
Yeah. And, it's not great. It's not great.
It hurts.
When will death come? Supposedly, one group of guests, unattended for a period by castle staff, attempted to find the hidden chamber by entering every room in the castle and hanging towels from the opened windows.
Nice.
When inspecting the building from the outside, they found that one window remained unopened and unmarked. However, they were unable to find any entry to the corresponding room inside.
Get a fucking sledgehammer. We know where the door is located.
Get in there.
You go, so this one's got a towel. The one next to it doesn't. The one next to that does have a towel. Then you start hitting the walls, baby.
Yeah. How unattended are you right now?
Although I do picture them as like ghost adventure types.
Sure.
It's annoying for everybody that has to work at the castle.
Yeah, they do an episode there. By the end, they're just yelling at the fucking person who owns the place. Show us! You owe these people an explanation. No, I don't. Please leave my castle. Here's the story of those skeletons, by the way. Alternative theory put forward by historian Mike Dash is that the hidden chamber contains not a living heir, but the corpses of rivals secretly murdered by the Leon family. He alleged that the skeletal remains of the Ogilvy clan, one-time rivals of the Lions, remained in the chamber after they were lured there on the pretense of being hosted as honored guests. Once inside, the entry was bricked up, leaving them to starve.
So that's what happened to the Ogilvies.
I was wondering. Yeah, they didn't come over for spades, so I was all like, all right. Rude. I would have called.
The story has remained popular over the years within the Leon's Bowes family, repeatedly making statements that rumor of either a surviving heir or a secret chamber were complete fabrications. Of the three men at any time that were said to know the secret, the Earl, his heir, and the estate manager, only one has ever said something that would suggest the story may have some truth to it. This is what I was talking about earlier. Claude Bowes-Lyon, the 13th Earl and great-grandfather of Queen Elizabeth II, is said to have told his wife, "If you could even guess the nature of this castle's secrets, you would get down on your knees and thank God it wasn't yours."
I'm bringing a sledgehammer and we're putting a hole in every fucking wall. I need to know what this castle's about.
Oh, curiosity, dear Roger.
I go to therapy. I won't be fine for this week, but I'm good after.
In, my friend. Very scary. That's the story of the Castle of Glamis. I am going to brick up the speaking skull in the wall over here, and whoever goes next, if you just want to smash open the nearest wall, you should find the speaking skull. It almost feels like what if there's like an ongoing, like some sort of genetic marker that, causes this specific deformity in the Bowes-Lyons family, and they it just keeps happening and they keep hiding the kid.
Ooh.
I mean, it's entirely possible.
That's some like Sherlock Holmes mystery stuff, he accidentally kills someone and they were like, no one was here who could even kill it.
That
I mean a person.
Very spooky stuff going on at Glamis Castle, and I wanted to tell you, my friends.
Excellent. Nate, if you don't mind, I will grab the sledgehammer, pop a hole in this shebang-a-bang. And
by all means,
I'm gonna tell you about that time a bunch of aliens took United Airlines.
Hell yeah.
Are you just talking about a hijacking now, or
no? I'm talking about the time where aliens bought tickets. They bought tickets in Palm Springs and flew a plane to Portland, Oregon.
The fuck?
Indeed.
I've done that exact flight, and I'm not sure why you would choose to do it.
Because they were going somewhere.
Fuel.
So this is from there's a few sources of this, but the most put together is from paranormal-world.fandom.com. And it is about the time when a bunch of, and I never know how to pronounce this right away, but people from Venus Venusians. Yep.
Yeah, you got it.
Venusians. That's what people say. A bunch of Venusians took a plane. The title of the article is called Venusians on a Plane. And the first sentence is, the title is a Snakes on a Plane reference.
Get these Venusians off my fucking plane.
Get these motherfucking Venusians.
So we have the tale of Venusians on a Plane. And this chapter is called The Man in Seat 23D. On an undisclosed date somewhere between 1985 and 1989, an anonymous witness was a flight attendant working for a passenger airline on a flight going from Palm Springs, California to Portland, Oregon. She had been employed with the unnamed airline company for 29 years and requested that she maintain her anonymity and that the company maintain theirs due to fear of repercussions if the story got out. She made it abundantly clear that she did not want any sort of payment or publicity for her story. She's just getting this off her chest. And she also struck the researcher tasked with interviewing her as someone who knew things that only a flight attendant could have.
Okay.
So it starts. On its way to Oregon, a plane ended up stopping in San Francisco. So my bad. I guess they bought tickets from San Francisco to Portland, Oregon. So the plane ended up stopping in San Francisco, and among those who boarded the jet during this period were three characters who seemed quite unusual. One of them was a man who the witness is estimated to be about 30 years old. One was a child of roughly 8 years, and the third and final individual was only described as being middle-aged. Let's say 42.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
The best age.
The best age. The witness and her fellow crew members thought that the 30-year-old was bizarre in both appearance and demeanor. He said to have very piercing eyes and an unusual forehead. All
and
three
he ordered a gin and milk.
And then he just held both glasses and then went, I make it in my mouth, and then just did a shot of both. All three of the odd passengers were dressed in what the witness described as a Sears Roebuck work clothing.
Okay.
Which, as a modern man, I have no idea what the fuck that is.
Yeah.
And I go to Google Images, and here we are.
I mean, you kind of know you're getting into like a leisure suit situation.
Sure. Yeah.
There is some Jinkos in that same search.
Okay. Well,
it says Sears Roebuck workwear carpenter pants, men's size 36.
I guess I thought they stopped selling clothes way earlier.
Nah, they're still doing it. Let's buy some clothes, actually. Let's think about
some Jinkos.
Let's buy some Jinkos. They also boarded the plane with no carry-on luggage of any kind. The 30-year-old sat in 23D.
What year is this?
This is in the mid to late 80s.
Okay. Because if you tried to board an airplane with no luggage right now, you're going immediately to jail.
No, you'd be fine, dude. There's plenty of cats doing that Vegas trip with like no luggage. Just going,
you got your wallet.
Just going for a date. Yeah.
A couple of shooters.
But you are going to get searched.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's definitely red flag, and you're going to get pat down. You
know what they're going to find? Wallet, couple of shooters.
Couple of shooters, and they're going to take those shooters away. You know why? You have to buy alcohol on the plane. You can't bring it on.
And when you buy it on the plane, what do they give you? Couple of shooters.
Couple of shooters. You should have first of all saved everyone a bunch of time, and just done those in the bathroom.
Yeah, what are you doing? Come on, crawl into the wall. Do it. Pull a Monster of Glamis, I think they call it.
So the 30-year-old sat in 23D and got the attention of the witness after the plane took off, asking for details about the mass and velocity of the aircraft.
Weird thing to ask.
Yep. Ma'am.
What is the mass of this craft?
Can you tell me in pounds and grams?
Skirplops? I mean, grams. What is the velocity of this pressure tube?
It is implied by both the source material and common sense that the witness did not know the answer to this.
Yeah.
And she found it to be a very strange question.
I don't fucking know, dude.
When the time came to order food and drinks, the weird man didn't seem to know what the attendant was referring to when she talked about the names of various items, and was only able to choose after she listed everything on the menu.
Wow.
Just the worst clientele here. Just,
I shall have 3 protein pills.
We don't have that, sir.
Oh, Mr. Pibb?
We only have diet, sir.
Ooh, not really my vibe.
Oh, it keeps going to an ad and I keep losing my spot. So they don't know what's going on. She has to go over the menu line by line, explaining everything. The man in 23D would repeat all of this information to the other 2 members of his party, both
Lord.
who were completely silent throughout the entire flight. And he's doing this in English as well. Like he's not doing it in a different language. He's repeating everything she's saying to him.
To order the club sandwich, need we be part of the club?
and the seats behind him are just all like, I was hungry, but now I think my body's digesting its fat, so I'm fine.
Instead, I'm going to beat this.
It doesn't take that long to get from SF to Portland.
True.
Yeah, there's no reason to eat now.
If one Cheesecake Factory menu's worth of talking.
Yeah, and that's the whole trip. That's what I'm going to do the next flight. I'm just going to bring the cheesecake menu and go line by line.
Southwest egg rolls? Oh, we don't have that. Southwest egg rolls, please.
So the man in 23D would repeat all this information, and the other 2 members of his boarding party were completely silent. Later on in the flight, the man in 23D started to talk to the passengers seated ahead of him. Desperate to hear what he said by the bizarre character, the flight attendant chose to sit somewhere next to someone she knew and did not like.
Okay, weird.
Yep. So she could
I'll sit next to Kathy, that bitch.
She's going to meet her boyfriend in Portland.
We all know it's fake.
Not real. Liar. I don't like to sit next to liars. She said that the man asked some very unusual questions and that he repeated everything that was said to him to the rest of his 3-man posse. Eventually,
how much blood is inside of you?
I mean, us. We are the same.
Could you lend me a hand, or would you prefer I purchase it?
That is my attempt at comedy. Chuckle, chuckle, chuckle.
Southwest egg roll?
So eventually the man asked for the restroom and the flight attendant pointed it out to him. After this, he was
did he go soldier or do
I feel like he's gonna pull a real Mr. Bean on this restroom.
After this, he was setting about returning to his seat. The curious witness approached him and asked him how old he was. He dodged this question by telling her instead that he had been to other planets.
An artful dodge, my friend. How old are you? I'm an alien. I mean, wow, close one, dipshit.
Oh my. So now
Do you know about time dilation? Figure it out.
Once the flight, which must have felt like the longest the attendant had ever been on, finally landed in Portland, the attendant disembarked with the passengers. Outside the plane, it was now the man's turn to approach the flight attendant. You know, like what you do when you leave a flight. You approach the flight attendant, you stare him down, and you go, "Where's my luggage?" And they go, "It's at the luggage check, sir." I don't know how your interactions go with flight attendants, but mine go like that.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely abrasive every time. I
try to keep it pretty unpleasant.
Give those people no quarter.
Yeah.
No, flight attendants are doing
once
God's
that door
work.
opens, you're off the clock. You fucking
Nate's just ready to fight a flight attendant. Okay, so outside the plane, it was now the man's turn to approach the flight attendant, asking her why she would sit with someone that she hated. This alarmed her because it seemed as if the man somehow was reading her mind. She alleged that the weird passenger went on to provide her with an even weirder answer to her previous question. He said, "You asked how old I am. I am light years old."
That's light years are a distance.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, we're in Star Wars territory, you know, doing
wang.
various runs in 6 parsecs and whatnot.
I am the Kessel Run years old. Shut up.
The witness felt that this was no joke and that he was being completely serious. Likely
he's being completely a wang.
Likely due to the extreme odd behavior and apparent psychic abilities that the man had demonstrated. She later saw the 3 odd passengers enter a limousine with darkened windows.
Right. This is full on Men in Black.
Yeah.
Very much so. This is definitely like government agency. I hope the car's nice as well, because now I don't think the car's nice. I think the government put them in a bad car.
Like it has a telephone, but it's not connected to anything.
Yeah. The ice box has warm soda. It's not a good limousine. She noted that this was very unusual for 3 people dressed in work clothing to enter a limousine such as such. And she's followed a lot of people to their cars, you know. She's a real people watcher. The witness...
It does seem like she's a snitch.
The witness concluded her statement by saying that she had not experienced anything else like this before or since, and that her fellow crew members were also very disturbed by the event. All right, so a little bit of analysis on this story from Paranormal World Winky. As we discussed, this man is not light years old. Light years are used to measure the distance that light travels in 1 year. Earth year, by the way.
Yeah. It's pretty specific to our region.
That is a weird thing. However, he could be mistranslating his age into what he thinks is the correct human terms. Like when I speak Spanish to customers and I say crazy shit because I'm new at it, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, gracias. Estoy alérgico a los crustáceos.
Indeed. Muy bien, Jordan. So,
de nada.
However, I don't actually see it this way, says the writer. Seeing as there are innumerable cases of ostensibly alien entities making bizarre and obvious bogus statements like this one, and some of those cases even involve physical evidence attesting to something anomalous having actually been there despite its blatant absurdity. Also,
if this ends up being an improv everywhere skit, it went way too far.
It really does feel like three guys were like, let's do alien stuff on a plane today, huh? It'll be content. We'll annoy the fuck out of people and call it content.
And I mean, I have various things on this, but also the chance of the mystery man having been a human prankster is significantly lowered, in my opinion, by his apparent ability to read the flight assistant's mind.
That's right.
But that's not like hard reading of the mind. I mean, like, this is mentalist shit where, like, I think a good mentalist can be like, oh, you hate her. I see how you're like sitting next to her.
What's one of the main goals of improv? Group mind.
It's just, reading a crowd.
Yeah.
All right. While speaking to the investigator who initially recorded this story, she also stated that she was married to an Air Force serviceman who was involved in top secret projects.
All right, now we're talking.
Yes, he never outright admitted this to her. He also never denied that he had stints of duty at Area 51.
You telling me this guy's making Area 51 money and this lady still has to be a flight attendant? Come on.
I think this is what our grandmas did when they were bored and they just had kind of like a hobby job.
Yeah, I know. And I'm just kidding. I imagine you don't get paid a lot to stand in front of a hangar.
I mean, if it's Area 51, you're paying for your silence.
Yeah. I imagine it's one of those things where they're like, getting to work here is part of the payment. And you're like, cool.
Well,
right.
In the video, they show you skipping with an alien in the video, in the training video. See how much fun you get to have?
Look, you love it.
This is backed up by long periods he spent at Nevada Air Force bases throughout their marriage. He was always going to Nevada and various bases. It's a little bit fishy it's fishy. Area 51's got some strange planes and they do some strange research. Gloom Lake, I think, is what it's called proper now.
There's fish at work.
Oh, but that's my segment of Werewolf Radar. I'm going to call it The Man in Seat 23D.
Pretty good.
His
Wesley
son
Snipes.
and lover.
Passenger Area 51.
Nice. There we go. Solid. It's ready for Monday. Nate, I'm going to put the skull into the fly-like transporter. Hopefully a bug didn't get there as well and hit transport. You should receive it now.
I surely did, but they merged.
They merged
and they're continuing to merge.
Every time we merge it with a fly, it loses value.
I think it gains value to the right buyer.
You know who doesn't think that? The people who insure the speaking skull. Lloyd's of London.
So I went ahead and just looked for a list.
Love a list.
Fun
Listicle. I like Nate's listicles more than Jordan's listicles. There, I said it.
Shots fired.
Let us know in the comments whose listicles you like more.
Time for an episode of Nate Reads You a Listicle. It's a spinoff.
So these are just famous ghosts that I have not previously heard of.
Okay.
So this first one, and maybe everyone has heard of this because it presents itself as one of the most famous accounts of a ghost in British history.
Oh.
The Drummer of Tedworth.
Nope. Never heard of that. Oh, wait. Maybe I have. Is this the guy who walks in through the basement? We'll find out.
The drummer? He's drumming, man. He's not the walker.
Yeah. Pum-pum-pum, etc.
But I've never heard of this. This is crazy. And you say it's one of the more famous.
Well, that's the first thing it says is the case of the Drummer of Tedworth is possibly one of the most famous accounts of a ghost in British history and an early report of a poltergeist.
Okay.
But you'd think an early report of a poltergeist would have happened in Germany where they coined the term, but apparently no.
Nope.
Here we find ourselves showing our cultural dominance. Germany.
Nope, not supposed to chant that.
No,
You're not
my
allowed
bad.
to chant that.
In March 1661, Magistrate Jean Montpesson of Tedworth in Wiltshire caused the drummer, a middle-aged beggar by the name of William Drury, to have his beloved instrument confiscated as penalty for a forgery. So, right away, a homeless guy whose only thing is drumming has been hurt by the police.
Yeah, shot
in Wiltshire.
And because someone gave him a forged coin because they thought it was funny.
Probably. The drum was afterwards delivered to Montpesson's house by a local bailiff. The Montpessons then began to hear the eerie sound of the drum beating by itself all around the house. A ghost was among them.
Uh-oh.
The haunting continued for months and included beds being thrown about, fetid smells, strange lights, scratching, and even the sounds of dogs and cats. Again, at 1661 in rural Britain, so who knows? This could just be really actual dogs and cats running around.
This is also the time of Isaac Newton. I like the parallel between, like, you know, all the science happening and then also witch trials.
The troublesome ghost attacked guests, servants, a local blacksmith, and even Montpesson's horse, which was reported to have died of fright.
Oh.
Which, yeah, I mean, that's kind of an accomplishment for a ghost. Killing a horse?
Yeah.
The ghost's voice was heard, and Montpesson even claimed to have seen it. Word spread, and people flocked to the house, including the Reverend Joseph Glanville, who I actually have heard of, who claimed to have witnessed the phenomena and later wrote about it in an 1681 book. In 1663, Drury admitted that he was responsible for the hauntings, causing them to happen remotely. What? He was tried for witchcraft and sentenced to transportation. So he got either here or Australia.
Oh, okay. Well,
meanwhile, Isaac Newton is literally writing the math that proves you can leave the Earth's orbit.
Yeah.
While he was out of the country, the hauntings stopped, and after escaping and returning to England, the poltergeist returned with him. The drummer presumably ceased his attack on the Montpessons not long after this, though it is not known when. So that's the drummer of Tedworth, real quick. And just for funsies, there's also another Drury ghost. This is the Drury Lane ghost. This one comes from livescience.com. Speaking of science, there are many theaters in the Covent Garden district of London's West End. Plays have been produced in that area for over 300 years, and some of the world's greatest actors have appeared there. Yet one theater is better known more for its ghosts than its productions. There is actually more than one ghost said to haunt Drury Lane's halls and its wings, including those of several actors. The most famous, however, is a, quote, man in gray, seen as a nobleman carrying a sword. It's not uncommon for a theater to claim a resident ghost treading the boards, and Drury Lane ghosts carry on their part of theater tradition.
Interesting.
And you know, I bet that they had put on Macbeth here at some point.
Yeah. The Muffin Man lived on Drury Lane, right?
He did.
Yeah.
This is a quote, everyone in the theater had some kind of experience. They think they saw the man in gray or heard a door slam when there was no one in the building. Roger Clark, professional ghost hunter.
It was not me. Sorry. Yeah. Thanks for making that clear.
They actually have it in like little like brackets specifically to make it sure that no one's saying that it's you.
I do not want it to be thought of as this is me.
Roger Clark took those stories more seriously than the ghosts. He did think the building had something going on, although it was difficult to say what, said actor Nigel Planer to journalist Andrew Dixon. This is in The Guardian in 2015, and that's all they have to say about it. There was a man in gray that a bunch of people have seen in the Drury Lane Theater. Here's a fun one. The Cock Lane Ghost.
Funny.
Oh, off to a good start.
One of the most famous of all British ghosts is surely the Cock Lane Ghost,
Certainly.
which caused a sensation in London in 1762. They've got to get new ghosts. I mean,
that's how could you get rid of that one? The Cock Lane Ghost? Come on.
I think it's hard for them because they have such a thick tradition and history, you know, like we're all about the new ghost, you know, America's more modern. We don't have a history that goes so back. So they're all obsessed with their old pubs and their old ghost. Sure. And we're all like, give me digital robot ghost and I'm going to fuck it.
I want something I can have sex with and something I can watch on the airplane.
I want American gods, but not with any of your British fucking trash actors.
Yeah.
Also, David Tennant is fucking amazing in the newest Doctor Who.
That's what I've heard. Everybody's pumped about it.
At a house in Cock Lane, Smithfield, a poltergeist was reported to be terrorizing the inhabitants. The ghost made loud knocking noises, and the household claimed they had seen the phantom with their own eyes.
Making things worse, every time they remembered its name, they would all burst into laughter.
Making the ghost very self-conscious.
The haunting on Cock Lane caused such a stir that crowds began to flock to the house. This is the second time they've said something about crowds flocking to a haunted house. With many visitors claiming to have witnessed the ghost's activities for themselves. The noisy spirit then claimed to be a former resident of the house called Fanny, who had lived there with a Mr. Kent. No, wait a second. The poltergeist nicknamed Scratching Fanny.
Come on.
Because she would like to scratch.
Yeah.
Revealed that Kent had murdered her.
Okay.
The Cock Lane ghost was eventually uncovered as a hoax, a scheme with blackmail in mind, perpetrated by a resident of the house named Richard Parsons and his 11-year-old daughter, Elizabeth, who apparently had to play Scratching Fanny.
Look,
she's 11. That's fucked up.
This is crazy. This
is bonkers.
England does hoaxes better.
They really fucking go for it.
They go full Scooby-Doo. Yeah, exactly.
Scooby-Dooing it, right.
They're trying to scam someone. They're trying to get money.
I want the gold. Bring me the gold, Scratching Fanny.
Anyway, Richard Parsons, who I'm going to say is Dick Parsons of Cock Lane.
Sure.
Got his just desserts. He was pilloried and sentenced to 2 years in prison.
Whoa, damn. Wait, what is pilloried? Is that where you get in the stocks?
So that's when you're in the stocks, yeah.
Right.
But you get to eat?
You get to eat, but being in the stocks was no picnic. People would come up and put stuff in your butt and slap you and pee on your shoes and stuff.
And mostly the only food you get to eat is when they throw it at you and it's rotten enough that it like slides down your face after smashing there.
A lot of rotten turnips.
I know nothing about this. It's horrifying what you just told me.
Yeah.
And then how did you stay there the whole night?
You usually get 4 or 5 days in the pillory.
Yeah, and then you go to prison.
Yeah.
Ooh,
and they're like, all right, that's enough fun for you. No more slimy turnips and butt stuff for you.
Yeah, they allow the crowd to make their decision about your fate before they actually install you into a penitentiary, which is fucking horrific.
I like how you say install because you're not getting out. You're bolted to the wall.
Yeah, they'll
You're there for a little bit. So number 7 on this particular list, the Maharaja Duleep Singh, the famous Crown Prince of Punjab, Victor Duleep Singh, which you never expect Victor to come before Duleep Singh.
Really don't.
Not in this sentence, but here we find ourselves.
Was visiting Berlin in October 1893 in the company of Lord Carnarvon when something very strange happened to him. The prince later recalled the incident in his own words, quote, "I went to bed, leaving, as I always do, a bright light in the room." Electric light, he makes a point of saying, because, he's rich as fuck. "As I lay in bed, I found myself looking at an oleograph which hung on the wall opposite my bed. I saw distinctly the face of my father, the Maharaja Duleep Singh, looking at me, as it were, out of this picture, not like a portrait of him, but his real head."
I don't enjoy that.
Yeah, this is a full-on Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, truly.
The prince had seen the apparition of his father in the painting and shared the experience with Lord Carnarvon the next morning, telling him he believed his father was dead. That evening, Singh was notified by telegram that his father had died of a seizure.
Oh, no.
Lord Carnarvon confirmed that they had no knowledge of Victor's father's illness before the incident.
Ooh, I mean, that's hard to debunk there.
Yeah, I mean, when everything is just somebody telling you that something happened.
Yeah.
My grandma has a similar tale, which is weird on its own right now that I think about it. But my grandma kept her sister's crutches.
Ooh.
And when her sister died, the crutches fell over.
Oh, crazy.
Supposedly, like the moment she died.
Wow, spooky.
That's pretty insane.
Mm-hmm. I think it's very insane that my grandma kept her sister's crutches.
I mean, it's weird from the beginning.
But I got a weird family and I'm a weird boy.
Well, were they like crutches or like the crutches that you have to walk on
for like a broke leg?
At a time?
No, not years at a time. Just broke leg crutches.
Standard crutches.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess. What are you keeping them for?
My grandma's a weird lady. I think memories were taken from her, and now she tries to hold on to everything. That's for her therapist, not our podcast.
So this is the last one I'll do, and this is actually a wide thing, and we've all heard of it and seen things about it, but I don't know this specific.
It turns out our listeners just like us hearing us talk about things.
Things are fun to talk about.
But the Vanishing Hitchhiker, which is a classic.
Classic.
In fact, they call it a classic example of modern folklore, generally associated with the United States, with parallels elsewhere in the world. I don't know that I've heard of anything outside of the U.S. I guess maybe in Canada.
There's German ones as well.
Okay.
It really is the rise of the highway or long stretch road.
Das Travelspectre.
It's often depicted standing by the roadside, disappearing without a trace not long after being picked up. One classic version points to the hitchhiker being the ghost of a local resident killed not far from their home, but it has likely changed over the decades. Quote, it acquired the newer automobile motif by the period of the Great Depression, and thereafter spawned a number of subtypes with greatly varied and oddly interlocking details, some of which themselves stemmed from earlier folk legends, wrote Jan Harold Brunfand. So, yeah, I guess, all right. In the Vanishing
dude, the Audubon's
Hitchhiker,
got crazy shit. We should do Audubon ghosts sometime. I'm sure there's a bunch.
Really? There's a bunch of them? That makes sense.
I mean, there has to be.
I'm gonna look it up. We'll talk again next week.
Anyway, this is him writing in a book called The Vanishing Hitchhiker, American Urban Legends and Their Meanings. So, is it more American than German? Yeah. Did this guy drag the hitchhiker to Germany?
It seems like he grabbed it to Germany, because when I type in Audubon ghost, I get apparently videos of the Rolls-Royce ghost Audubon cruising 225 kilometers an hour.
Right, well, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, right?
I want to see it.
There's no speed limit there. You can go as fast as you want.
Use your best judgment.
Through some
My
segments.
judgment says 225 miles per hour.
Kilometers.
Oh, forget it.
Yeah, but that's
like 50 miles per hour.
No, that's like 135, 140.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's up there. It's up there. Remember when Aaron went 160 in Jim's BMW?
Whoa, no.
No, but I would like to know about it.
Oh,
that rocks.
That's insane.
I thought you were all there. Who was I with? Obviously, Aaron and Jim.
Sometimes the hitchhiker's imbued with the power of prophecy or is on an endless quest, not unlike the crew of the Flying Dutchman.
Oh.
Quote, updated and localized treatments of the legend continue to flourish in modern folklore, suggesting that the old ghost tale must have some important appeal to contemporary folk.
Okay.
Which is interesting, just as an idea. Like, how often do we turn our old ass folklore into weird new stuff?
Well, I mean,
that's what I'm talking about, making it fresh.
Let's perpetuate.
Yeah, as we learned from the story of Glamis, you know, these tropes live on in many other stories. You know, I was thinking of at least 3 or 4 stories that reminded me of, you know, Man in the Iron Mask is in the wall. Freaking even the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark movie had a family member trapped in the wall.
It's fun to put things in the wall. It's like the Norquist hole. Today. Put your secrets in there.
Norquist hole. I forgot about that.
I forgot all about
It's still waiting for us when we want to play Valheim.
That's true. In our Valheim world, there's something that is it's I believe there's a sign that says the Norquist
hole. Yeah.
It's just where we discard old weaponry and shit.
Junk. Yeah.
Various bodies, skeletons, all sorts of shit.
Whatever you need to put in a hole, really.
The hole is empty. The hole is bottomless. The hole thirsts.
Anything that belongs that far down.
Yeah. You'll know when you
far enough to forget.
Needs a hole in.
We built a good community there.
Yeah.
It's true, we did.
All right. Well, is that was the last ghost story?
I mean, I could do one more.
Let's do one more.
Okay.
It feels me and Jordan want one more. These have been fun.
One more.
So this is the Murdered Peddler.
Okay.
Yep, this was a good one.
Yeah. Of course, not for the peddler. It sounds like.
One day in the early 1840s in Hydesville, New York, a young peddler arrived at the home of Mr. and Mrs. Bell to sell his housewares. Not the Bells of the Bell Witch.
Just saying.
Totally Boo, it's never them, and I need it to be them sooner or later.
I mean, it's all connected.
He was invited into the home by the Bell's housekeeper and, in fact, stayed for some days. The maid was shortly dismissed from service, but abruptly rehired a week later.
Oh.
The peddler was gone, but many of his items were now in use in the Bell's kitchen.
Oh.
The maid thought little of it until she began experiencing strange ghostly phenomenon, only to find out from the peddler's ghost that he had, in fact, been murdered in her absence.
They wanted those knickknacks.
At least, that was a story told by two sisters named Maggie and Katie Fox, who claimed to communicate with the ghost.
There you go. Known hucksters.
Years later, the sisters admitted it had all been a hoax. There was no murdered peddler, and the spirit communications had been faked. Still, it goes on to just talk about spiritualism more grandly. And apropos of a previous thing, the number one top 10 most famous ghost.
Hit us with it.
Can you guess who it is?
Yes, I can. It is Paul Bunyan.
Wait, no, we're in England.
Oh, England. We Herbie. Remember, he died in England.
Bunyan.
In the third movie.
I'm gonna say Shakespeare.
It's Slimer.
That guy, he gets around, man.
This Joker.
Yeah, livescience.com in their ghost directory also included a bunch of fiction.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. The number one most popular ghost in Britain, Slimer, folks. Everybody's favorite burger scarfing, hot dog cart ruining ghost from Ghostbusters. Guys, thank you so much for joining us this week on Werewolf Radar. We've had a lot of fun today. I hope you've had the same amount of fun. If you want to continue having fun, please give us 5 stars wherever you found this podcast. Please go check us out on Twitch. Go check us out on Twitter. Go check us out on Threads, Instagram, werewolfradar.com. You can even, if you really like what we do, go to patreon.com/werewolfradar. You can join the Dark Council, become a Dark Council member, give us a financial donation once a month. You'll get an extra podcast episode every week. You'll get access to other goodies through the Patreon, and we would sure appreciate it. If you can't help us out in those ways, just tell your friends. Say, hey, there's this funny podcast. They talk about spooky stuff. They don't take it especially seriously, and everybody has a good time. Shout out to Chuck from Snappy Little Numbers for our intro and outro song. And shout out to you, the listener, for your intro and outro ears listening to the podcast.
Yes.
We appreciate you. We hope you're having a happy holiday out there. Is there anything else we would like to plug?
Well, I have one thing, because I wasn't going to read this initially, and hadn't until you were doing our actual plugs.
Okay.
But I did not know Slimer was supposed to be the ghost of John Belushi.
Yes, yeah, that's true, folks. Based on Belushi.
Holy shit.
I guess another plug would be for The Real Ghostbusters, the cartoon show that featured Slimer as a character who went through several story arcs, like had emotional development.
And they talked about Slimer's family and who he was before he died.
Yeah, watch that shit.
I really hope that didn't happen. Until next time, as always, our sign-off line on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Punch the sky, Spaceman Joe.